webinar. My name is Carrie McClellan. I'm the Outreach Manager for ElderHelp, and I have the pleasure of helping to facilitate these educational presentations for family caregivers or really anybody who is looking for information and wanting to learn more. So I'm glad that you're able to join today. I will introduce our guest speaker in just a moment. But before I do that, a couple of housekeeping things. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to type them into the question pane. We'll go through those at the end, so feel free to type them in. You don't need to wait until the end to do so. So if you have anything that comes up while we're going through the information, feel free to do that, and then we'll go through all of the questions at the end. So hopefully that works for everyone. And just to give you a brief overview of ElderHelp and who we are and why we do these types of webinars with our partners. Our mission at ElderHelp is to support older adults and their ability to continue living independently in their own homes. So we want to help them achieve that. And a lot of times that does involve other people in their lives, whether it's family members who might be taking part in that role, or organizations like ElderHelp who might have volunteers that can step in and assist those individuals to live successfully and independently at home. We've been serving the San Diego community for over 49 years now, so we're definitely not new, and we have been providing quite a few services to older adults as well as family members during that time. This just gives an overview of our core services. We have an information and referral service where we're connecting people with resources, and anybody is welcome to access that resource. We also do a variety of check-in calls. Our Are You OK program is a great one for people who might not have others checking in on a regular basis. We can give them a call at the same time every day to make sure that they're doing all right. And if there are any red flags that come up, we can follow up on those. Our Seniors A Go-Go program is our transportation where volunteers are driving seniors to and from their doctor's appointments. Care coordination has social workers that are involved, as well as a number of volunteer services to help those older adults continue living independently at home, as I mentioned before. And our housing services team really works to help navigate the affordable housing challenges that are facing so many people, especially in our community of San Diego. We see that all the time. And we have a unique program called Home Share where we're facilitating matches between individuals to share housing. Our family caregiver support program is where these webinars come through. And again, I mentioned our information and referral service. That is something that's available for anybody who is looking for resources. We're happy to point you in the right direction. Webinars like these are helpful because they offer that educational component so that you can understand about your role as a family caregiver, or if you're looking for the future, it can help you understand what it might be like for your loved ones as they're aging through that process and how you can help to support them in those roles. We have online courses that we've created that are available on our family caregiver page of our website. So you're welcome to check those out at any time. You would just create a login with your email address and a password, and then you have access to all of those courses. Those are really helpful with assessment tools and different information that can help you in understanding your role and also creating that care team. We are very fortunate to partner with wonderful organizations in the community, Southern Caregiver Resource Center and Alzheimer's San Diego, and that is where we have our wonderful speaker from today. So before I turn it over to Jean, I am just going to share a little bit about her so that you have an idea of her experience. So Jean Alton has worked in the field of Alzheimer's disease and related dementias for over 30 years. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology and in recreation therapy and is a certified positive approach to care dementia trainer. Jean's expertise is built upon her many years of experience working in a variety of settings, including memory care and facilities, adult social day programs, early memory loss programs, and care management. Jean is a senior dementia educator with Alzheimer's San Diego, where she provides community education and coordinates programs for people with early stage dementia. So Jean is just a wealth of information and knowledge, and I look forward to her sharing her expertise with us today. And this is such an important topic because so often we find that our family members are having changes. We're noticing them small over time, but as it does progress or become more severe, it's important to know how to navigate that and to address it and bring that up in conversation. So Jean, welcome. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to hearing what you have to share with us today.
Thank you, Carrie, and good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry. I was trying to get all my throat clearing done before I got started here. I hope everyone's having a good morning thus far, and let's just dive right in here and get started on today's webinar, which is how to talk about memory loss. And let me see if I can, there we are. You've just met the two of us, so we'll just scoot right over that one and talk about our agenda. So for today, we're going to focus in these three different areas. First of all, to better understand what are some of the common causes of memory loss, and of course, the consequences of having a memory loss disability. We'll talk about developing the skills that are required for really effective and thorough communication with a person living with memory loss. And there are some very specific communication tips that we will give to you today. And I can tell you unequivocally that they do work, but it takes time and practice. We're going to also be talking about identifying local and online resources for additional support, and not just additional support, but for further education to expand your base of knowledge so that you can be a more effective family member, care partner, friend, whatever it might be, so that you can look at this whole issue of memory loss and come armed with information so that you're better able to manage the challenges of memory loss. And so these are all difficult topics, and you know, we've got the little drawing there of the hornet's nest, because many of these topic areas can be hornet's nests. And so just starting at the top of the list, any kind of changes in memory or function can be kind of a prickly topic. And I would suspect that many of you in the audience today would be probably not dissimilar to my friends and family. And so, for example, my mother-in-law will often say to me, you know, that she'll forget something, forget to tell me something. And she'll say, you know, that she's worried that there's some changes going on in her memory. And I hear that from other friends and family members as well, too. And in addition to that, let me just say, I will admit to that myself, where I am having a memory issue of some kind, and I'm like, jeepers, is there something going on here? And so I think we're all sensitive to that, and more so because we have a better understanding, although not necessarily always complete and clear understanding of memory loss, dementia, and Alzheimer's disease. But just to acknowledge that changes in memory and function, especially as we're getting older, can be a little bit of a prickly issue. We get concerned, and it makes us feel a little uncomfortable. Further to that, seeking a diagnosis can also be a difficult topic, because that is kind of the next step in the process. It is acknowledging that, yes, this really is something that I'm worrying about, or you know, my spouse is worrying about, or whoever it is, and we need to find out what's going on. And that's a big first step. Bringing outside assistance into the home is a huge big step, because you are acknowledging that you are needing to have some additional supports and resources to assist in some different um, levels of just kind of daily living. And it's a big leap of trust and faith to be bringing help into the home and acknowledging that we're not quite as independent as we like to think we are. Considering community-based services or residential care, another big topic. And we do have, and actually just finished a couple of webinars talking about some of those types of services, residential care facilities, as well as some of the other types of services that are in the community, such as adult day programs. So another area that can be a little scary, a little daunting, but is oftentimes part of what we need to do when we're navigating this road of memory loss. Driving is another hot topic, and you know, all of us, I think, here in California and Southern California for sure, we're all independent and like to have our cars and get wherever it is we need to get to. And the thought of not being able to drive, I would suspect for each of us is like, no, we don't, that doesn't sound appealing. And there's just a lot of fears and losses associated with driving. And sharing news about a diagnosis. This is another area where you have to do some deep thinking and kind of navigating through your support system and deciding who you're going to tell and what you're going to tell them. And it's a challenging area and a challenging topic because it's so unique to each of us as individuals. There's no one right or wrong way to do that. So I'm going to invite all of you to feel free to throw some ideas in chat here about why is it so difficult to talk about memory loss. And, you know, we've addressed some of these things. There is still, unfortunately, stigma associated with diagnosis of some type of dementia or Alzheimer's disease, just having memory loss. And there can be shame and discomfort on the part of people who are experiencing that. And, you know, we want to maintain independence and autonomy to the best of our abilities. And so we want the people around us to see that we are functioning at full, you know, full capacity with no problems going on whatsoever. And so further to that, there are myths and misunderstandings about memory loss and about Alzheimer's disease and dementia. And those are some things that our organization and organizations like ElderHelp work very diligently to dispel those myths and misunderstandings. And we still have a lot of work to do. The important thing here is it's very important for all of us to ensure that the information we are receiving and using, making decisions on, is good, solid information from trusted sources. There's often lack of perspective in talking about memory loss. And so an example of that is, you know, I think sometimes we go from 0 to 100 very quickly, so that if there is some memory loss going on, just as I've referenced, when we're saying to ourselves, oh my gosh, why can I not remember these things? What is going on? Do I have Alzheimer's disease? So we're going from, I'm a little bit concerned about this, to, oh my God, I have Alzheimer's disease. And there's a lot of ground to cover between 0 and 100. And so that's kind of the lack of perspective. We need to think about other reasons why we experience memory loss and look into those a little bit further. Of course, there's also fear. This is a diagnosis, a memory loss diagnosis that worries us because we're thinking about, you know, longer term consequences, longer-term impact, and that can certainly raise lots of concerns and fear. I'm trying to encourage the slides to move along. So let's just talk a little bit about causes of memory loss. So I'm going to start by just saying the definition of dementia is that it is a syndrome. It is a group of symptoms that is caused by something that is going on medically. And it is diagnosed when 2 or more of these 4 functions are significantly impaired enough to cause impact in day-to-day living. And so it's a syndrome, it's not a diagnosis, dementia. And these 2 or more functions that are impaired are in the areas of memory and cognition, thinking, behavior, changes in personality and behavior, and physical function. So what are some more examples of these 4 functional areas that are being impacted when there is dementia going on? So in the memory function, in the memory area, what we're talking about is memory loss that disrupts daily life and disorientation and confusion. So to that end, for example, when I can't remember the name of the actor in the movie that I watched last night, it's annoying. I might sometimes think that that disrupts daily life, but the truth is it really doesn't. Do I remember where my car keys are? Yes. Where my purse is? Yes. Do I remember I have a doctor's appointment next week? Yes. These kind of things. I do remember the types of memory loss that we are experiencing that tends to annoy us. It's kind of in the minute, it's like, oh, what's her name? I just ran into, oh, what's her name? That's the kind of stuff that we tend to recognize and get a little bit concerned about, but it's really not disrupting daily life. So that's the caveat, disrupting daily life. With cognition, we're talking about problems with language or word finding. And so getting more kind of blank spots in language, in conversation, where a word can't be, maybe not just one word, can't be kind of identified or brought to the conversation. It's missing, there's a gap there. And sometimes it's several words. And just people who are having problems with language, both in terms of processing what's being said that they are taking in, but also in getting what they are thinking out in the form of language. And so some challenges with that. And then we also see impaired judgment and problem solving. So this is where people are vulnerable to, for example, financial scams because of the judgment that is impaired. They, rather than kind of having the alarm bells going off and saying this doesn't make sense or it sounds kind of funny, that they are accepting of what is being told to them because their judgment and problem solving areas of cognition are impaired. Behavior is an area that we really don't see changes in just as a part of normal living and normal aging. Who we are is kind of who we are. We don't really change that much. But we can see some fairly significant changes in behavior and personality in people with dementia, living with memory loss, and changes in these other areas as well too. And we can see people going from being, outgoing, talkative, friendly person to being very withdrawn, depressed, not participating in activities and conversations and events the way they used to. So we do see this withdrawal and loss of initiative. That's actually fairly common in people with dementia. And it's certainly something to be very aware of, because people with dementia, with that loss of initiative and that withdrawal, they need people to help initiate for them and to really draw them out. We see physical changes as well with dementia, and it results in challenges completing just normal daily tasks. And it involves changes to sensory processing abilities. And so, for example, there's changes to the visual field. The visual field narrows in a person with dementia. So, therefore, there's less information, visual information coming in. And so that changes their ability to complete normal daily tasks because of that shifting in the visual field. So it's not that the eyes aren't working, it's that the brain is not processing the visual information so that it is useful and applicable to normal daily life. So here's the question. There's the alarm button that you hit. Am I overreacting? What's going on with me, or what's going on with the person I care about, mom or my spouse or whoever it is? Am I overreacting? And it's a good question. And I think if a person is having concerns and then having concerns to the point that you're asking yourself, am I overreacting? That's a good time to reach out to either other people, but I'm also going to say professional organizations like Alzheimer San Diego and ElderHelp of San Diego and others as well too, because it's good to be able to talk to somebody who can bring to you an objective discussion and input into what you have described that either you are experiencing or someone you care about is experiencing, so that you can come to perhaps better understanding of what it is that's going on, and are you overreacting, or is it time to really pursue things with diagnosis? Now, the other thing with overreacting is you need to check yourself to consider safety issues. And again, go back to that definition of dementia, where in those 4 areas of functioning, 2 or more are significantly affected, enough so to affect daily life. And with that, think about all these different areas, okay? So fall prevention. Now, I've just referenced changes in visual field. With those changes, that makes people with dementia a higher risk for falls. And with some of the other physical, sensory, perceptual changes, that also increases risk for fall. So then that becomes a safety issue. Avoiding injuries and medication errors is a big area of concern, and particularly when we're thinking about short-term memory loss. Did I take my medications this morning or not? Maybe I think I remember that I didn't take them, so I take them. And in fact, maybe that's the second time around that I'm taking these medications. So medication errors, that's when you're dealing with short-term memory loss, that's an area that's ripe for safety issues and problems. Abuse prevention, which I've referenced already, is another area of safety to be thinking about with regards to oftentimes fraud and other types of scams that are going on. But sometimes it's more of a abuse of a more personal nature, where people are moving themselves into elderly people, especially elderly people living alone with dementia, moving themselves into the elderly person's life and ultimately, literally, sometimes into the home and kind of taking over with, no good intent involved with it. Driving, we've talked a little bit about it's a hot topic, and It's an important topic to be thinking about when dementia is part of the picture, because driving requires us to make use our executive function to make kind of high level judgment based on traffic circumstances in a very, very quick moment. And we have to have all sorts of senses on alert at all times when driving. And these things are being impacted by dementia. And so it's important to think about that. And in a similar way, firearms, because the fact that a person has maybe used firearms and used them safely for many, many, many years, perhaps they were in the service, or perhaps it's a person who was a police officer or some other kind of officer who regularly handled firearms. That doesn't necessarily equate to being able to safely manage a firearm today with dementia. With memory loss, did I check to see if this firearm is loaded or not? Or did I forget to do that? Did I put the safety on it or not? Did I forget to do that? So important areas of safety here. And caregiver stress. So there's no question that being a caregiver to anybody with dementia involves many, many different layers and levels of stress. And these can become safety concerns, both for the caregiver, also for the person they're caring for. Because if you are stressed, you're not sleeping, you're not taking care of your own health, you're not seeing your own doctor, all of these things, then your own safety is at issue and at risk, and so is the safety of the person you're caring for. And lastly, wandering is something that we know a majority of people with some type of dementia diagnosis, memory loss issue of some kind, something that a majority of them will do at some point in time is wander and become lost. So we want to give you a little bit of insight into memory loss. And so this terrific word, which is in the upper right part of the slide here, is called anosognosia. Anosognosia, and it's from ancient Greek, and I cannot speak ancient Greek for you, but it means without disease knowledge. And what we know is that about 50% of people diagnosed with dementia have anosognosia. So they have this deficit of self-awareness, a condition in which a person who suffers some disability seems unaware of the existence of their disability. So think about this in terms of maybe somebody you know, or somebody you have known or interacted with or heard about, who has some type of memory loss issue going on, dementia going on, and denies that, says that everything is fine, that there is no problem, and that if you point out that they forgot to do A, B, and C, they will tell you that that's not true. They did do A, B, and C, and everything is fine. And we do tend to refer to this as denial, but in fact, it's not denial. It's not the person understanding that they did forget those things, but they're telling you, oh, no, everything's fine. Now, that can happen, but in 50% of the time, it is this anosognosia. They are without disease awareness. And so if you can kind of wrap your head around this, they forget that they forget, for example. And so that requires some changes in communication and some skillful communication. Now, as to the other 50% of people with dementia, memory loss, we know that, and by the way, these numbers, the source is through Teepa Snow, The Positive Approach to Care. She's a well-regarded professional in the world of dementia and dementia care. And through the studies that they have done, they have come to the understanding that, well, 50% of people with dementia have anosognosia. About 30% of people are aware of the disability they have, the deficit they have, and they're anxious about it. And the remaining 20% of people are also aware of the deficit or the diagnosis that they have or the disability that they have, and they are controlling with regards to it. So all three of these areas require different types of communication and, again, different kind of skill sets to get things accomplished. And so we'll start with the 50% of folks who are not aware of their skill loss. So when we're looking at setting realistic goals with them, and I'm saying it's maybe to my mom, and I'm concerned about her memory loss and her driving, and she's not paying bills, and she thinks everything is fine and dandy, no problems whatsoever. She is not aware she has anosognosia. So my goal is to try and change their attitude, her attitude, to avoid arguments and to avoid drawing attention to the deficits. So maybe with bill paying, maybe I suggest that we'll get everything set up online to be paid online. And as a part of that, for a safety issue, in case there's password compromises or things like that, that I get onto her bank account as well too, so that I can keep an eye on what's going on financially in and out of that account without me going in to say, I'm going to take over paying your bills, Mom, but rather, let's just get it all set up nice and easy online and with passwords, and you know, you can add me just to make sure that if passwords change or if passwords, you know, you forget them, that you know, I've got them, and if I forget them, you've got them. So that's the way you kind of go around with having a goal in mind, but trying to change the attitude. For people who are anxious, aware and anxious, our goal is to build a team with them early on and to reassure them and to be gentle with them, assure them that we're with them 100% and that we're going to keep their sense of value, pardon me, purpose and skill in mind. And for our folks who are aware and controlling, our goal is to stay connected to them. Don't try to point out or fix what's wrong. This is where they want control over their lives. So the important part is not for us to go in and try and take over, but rather to stay connected and to continue to offer help as it looks and appears to us, you know, in ways that we can, but then to respect the answer that is given to us, but continue to be offering that help. So let's talk next about some of these communication skills that we need to cultivate when we are communicating with a person with memory loss. And what we'll start with is that hornet's nest again, to understand that personal and public safety is more important than anyone's emotional state. And that is kind of the statement for any of us to go back to if we are hesitating, if we're wondering, are we overreacting? Where do things stand with this? Now, if my mom is out there driving and she's really not a safe or good driver at all anymore, that's not just a personal safety issue that she could have a accident and hurt herself, she could hurt other members of the public, other drivers, pedestrians, etc. So it's a public safety issue. And in that instance, you know, the public safety supersedes my mom's desire to not give up driving. And so we have to prioritize. And that's what we do all through life. And that continues on when there is dementia involved as well, too. So here's some tips with regards to communication. It is important always to acknowledge the meaning, the fears, the values, and the history of the person. So think, for example, what does, in this case, driving mean to my mom? And what does it mean to me? Now, she shouldn't be driving any longer, and I'm going to make sure that that happens. But I need to acknowledge all the different fears, values, and history and meaning attached to driving for my mom. Recognizing that she's been independent, she's been a good driver for many years, that this is difficult, that it means a lot of changes in life and lifestyle when you are giving up driving. And so acknowledging that there is dependence, there can be burden. We often hear that from our, for example, aging parents. I don't want to be a burden to my kids. And if you have to drive me around everywhere, I'm a burden. So we need to acknowledge those fears and then work to come up with a plan that lessens that feeling of being a burden. There's isolation. Again, with the driving, I'll use that example. Decreased social activity. You can't just jump in the car and run over to a friend's place or go out for coffee or go out for lunch. It changes. You have a lack of privacy as well, too. Why? Well, because you've got to call people or make arrangements for transportation provided by others. And that usually means disclosing what it is where you're going and what you're doing. So then there's that loss of control and autonomy, just being able to live life without worrying about what other people, may need to do for us or what they need to know about us. We just can go on with our day-to-day life. So there's lots of fears and losses associated with many different things associated with dementia. And we need to just stop for a moment and acknowledge all of that. And of course, there's cultural values and personal history. So bringing, again, maybe care into the home, apply that scenario to some of these questions and these thoughts. Again, what does being independent mean to me? It means I take care of my own personal care needs in the bathroom. Other people don't see me without clothing on. This respects my privacy and my dignity. If I'm bringing somebody in the home to assist with bathing, that all is changing. That's all changing. And it is these things about lack of privacy, loss of control and autonomy. And even though I don't want people to see me without clothing on, and that's part of my history and who I am, maybe part of my culture, now that's happening. So those are some big changes to these areas. So it's also important to remember that when communicating with a person with memory loss, that capacity can fluctuate. It can fluctuate day to day. It can fluctuate throughout the day. People with dementia are, in many ways, probably far more similar, or we are more similar to people with dementia than there are dissimilarities. People with dementia have good days and bad days, just as all the rest of us do too. So some days their thinking, their memory, and their cognition might be sharp, fairly sharp, and other days it might be poor if they've had a poor night's sleep. And, it fluctuates throughout the day, just as it does for all of us as well too. So keep that in mind. And, when you've got those good days and those good moments, enjoy them, make the most of them. And if it's a tough day, a not so good day, well, hope for some positive change later in the day or maybe tomorrow, seeing how things go. Understand that repetition will be required. Not just likely, but really almost certainly repetition will be required. It's because the short-term memory is not working. So we do need to repeat things on a regular basis. Documentation may help, writing things down, getting a whiteboard that details the day's activities on it. That 9 a.m. is breakfast and 10:30 is shower and 1 o'clock is the doctor's appointment. 3 o'clock, we're going to pick up a few groceries, and then 5:30 is dinner. So there it all is laid out on the whiteboard. And so the person with memory loss is saying, what is happening today? Am I seeing the doctor? Check the whiteboard. There it is, 1 o'clock, we're going to see the doctor. So use documentation. Use compassionate communication techniques. And we've got a terrific class on webinar on communication skills at Alzheimer San Diego that is in our webinar library on our website that you can see. And we also maintain some tip sheets on our website. And one of those is also communication skills. And let me just say, the bottom line is actually right here in the slide. It's compassionate communication. So think and communicate with the person with dementia with an open and caring and compassionate heart. And then think about self-care and what can be done there. Get the right people to the table. Who are the right people? Well, those that have that person's best interest in mind, that know the person, know their normal physical and cognitive status, and that they have a good relationship and good rapport with the person. And start with some one-on-one conversations and kind of let it gradually grow from there. Give yourself plenty of time and consider your timing. It's best if you're going to sit down at the table to talk about these things, do it when everybody is really up for it, both physically and mentally and cognitively to the best of their abilities. Have a plan. Think about what it is you want to accomplish and understand you'll probably have to have multiple conversations. We just don't solve things in one fell swoop, and especially with the topic of dementia. Consider who at the table is in a decision-making capacity and who has representative roles, and know and have a plan for when action will be required. At what point do you become the decision maker? At what point do you take control of the finances? And again, you don't have to solve all these problems in one sitting. Take it a step at a time and think about accomplishing things a step at a time as well too. So there are some guidelines for you. Start with some open-ended questions and let the focus be on maintaining autonomy and quality of life. We're again not talking that we're going to go in there and take control and take over and start running the show. We want to talk about working together collaboratively to navigate this challenge, this change in life, this dementia, this memory loss. Be positive and supportive and do your very best to avoid confrontation, because I think we all know confrontation it happens, of course, in life. It usually doesn't serve anybody too well, other than we get angry and upset with each other, or our feelings get hurt and we get defensive. So confrontation, do your best to avoid it. Do put safety first and stick to the facts. Anticipate that there will be negative reactions and understand that that's normal. Change is challenging for most of us, regardless of what form it is taking. And so sometimes it takes a little bit of talking about it and a little bit of processing before we can come to some level of acceptance of whatever it is the change is going on. And again, just validate those fears and discomforts that are occurring. Everybody likely is feeling them, whether you're the person with the memory loss or not. Do I want to go in and start, telling mom I'm worried about her memory loss and how she's paying bills and a whole bunch of other things? That makes me a little nervous and a little anxious, and I am uncomfortable with that, because that's a tough thing to do. So remember that for everybody that is at the table. You can make personal appeals, and sometimes this is one of the avenues to coming to an agreement, or to coming to an agreed upon plan. So I'm worried about your safety, maybe with regards to medications, or I'm afraid to let my kids drive with you. The grandkids, I know you love them, and this is the thing, is I'm worried about having them driving with you. And so, maybe the agreement is, when you want to go somewhere with the kids, that I will be the one who drives you, and or when the grandkids are visiting you at your home, you can't be taking them anywhere. Let's talk with your doctor about this, because the doctor can give us some professional and medical perspective on this particular issue of, let's say, driving. Please consider this for the sake of my peace of mind. Please do this for me. I need you to do this for me. I know you don't need help in the home, but I worry about you doing all the cleaning in the house, and I don't want you to have that level of work anymore. So please let me do this and bring in some help in the home, because it's going to make me feel better. And I'll go with you, and I'll try it too. Whatever it might be, I'll go with you to the doctor's office. I'll try it too, using a medication reminder box, whatever it might be. Is go along and tell people that you're going to travel with them on this, whatever change it is that is happening, and that you'll give it a try too. So we want to tell you a little bit about some of the local and online resources for support, and there are lots of them, and lots of good ones. And so what we'll start with at the top of the list is the Aging Life Care Association. Now, aging life care experts are what they used to be called professional geriatric care managers, and now they are called aging life care experts. And this organization is a national organization. Those people that are these care managers with aging life care are certified. They are held to and required to hold to some rigorous educational standards and ethical standards. These are super knowledgeable people that can come in on a one-time basis to help with providing an objective assessment and recommendations as to, what services and supports may be implemented. So they can do that on a one-time basis, or they can engage with people, with individuals, with families, couples on an ongoing basis to act as an advocate, as in all areas of care, whether it's at doctor's offices, to arrange for care in the home, to arrange for other supports, to manage day-to-day scheduling and routines and such. So there is a cost for these. These professionals bill by the hour, and it's usually going to be in it's a range. So I'm going to say $100 to maybe $150 an hour. So a little pricier, but I'll tell you, if you've got a challenging situation going on, these folks are very, very knowledgeable and can really give some great recommendations, even if it is just on a one-time basis. This second website is for elder mediation. And, when we are bringing all sorts of different people to the table, different family members with different perspectives and such on things, sometimes we do need a mediator to help us figure it all out and come to decisions and plans that are in the best interests of the person with dementia, and also considering everybody's perspectives. The Professional Fiduciary Association of California, PFAC, the fiduciaries with this association, these are the people who can manage finances and estates and assets and take care of all those things. These are, again, professionals. They are appointed often, sometimes they're hired by families to act as the fiduciary. And in some instances, they may be appointed by the court to act as the fiduciary and sometimes as the guardian as well, too. So a professional organization, again, with some strict standards of conduct and ethics. There is us, Alzheimer's San Diego, and we've got all sorts of information and referral for people on things like diagnosis, on things like in-home and community-based care and support. On topics like transportation resources, we've got a great list of that, and much, much more. Whatever information you are seeking, I would encourage you to give us a call or visit our website, because we've got some very comprehensive lists of resources so that you don't have to go out there and start Googling and looking all over the internet for this information. And by the way, we do, as I have referenced earlier, we go to trusted sources of information in order to pull together these lists. We have family consultation services. So we've got clinical care coaches that can spend a little bit more time with the family, doing some problem solving, talking about the issues that are going on, and pointing you in some new directions. So that is available to families as well, too. And then, of course, our education is all about disease information, communication techniques, behavior management, safety, and more. All of our programs and services at Alzheimer's San Diego are at no cost. And for more disease information, there is the Alzheimer's Association, and there is their website for you to go to, and there's lots of good information on it. There is the Alzheimer's and Related Dementias Education and Referral Center. We tend to call that ADIR, and that is at www.alzheimers.gov. And again, a very good source of information. All of these are. There's the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, the Family Care Alliance at caregiver.org. Check that one out. Really great information for caregivers there. The Mayo Clinic is a great website to go to for more information on dementia and memory loss, and Alzheimer's disease. The National Institute on Aging, the NIA through the government, another great website, good source of information. And then you'll find UCLA Alzheimer's and Dementia Care Program is really terrific. All sorts of really good videos on their website about different things associated with dementia, like, for example, personality and behavior change, problems with bathing, problems with grooming, anxiety and agitation, all sorts of really good videos there. So there is us again, www.alzsd.org/resources. And that's where you'll find disease information. We have our video library up there as well too, and all sorts of resources and tip sheets, and the webinar library. So those are two different things, the video library and the webinar library. The webinar is, recordings of previously presented webinars, live webinars. The video library is some short videos that we created through a grant to tell you more about Alzheimer's San Diego and some of the things that we do. So there we are, Alzheimer's San Diego, all these different things. Our dementia experts, that's our clinical care coaches, and they are answering the phones from 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. And it's a whole team of them, and so you can talk to them at any point in time. And also, if you're on our website, we do have a chat function, so you can chat with one of the clinical services team via that. And, of course, you just feel free to call us at that general number, 858-492-4400, to speak to somebody from that team. We have our support groups. Many of them are still virtual. Some are starting to meet in person. We're gradually growing that list of in-person programs again. So keep kind of checking out our website to see what it is that we're doing virtually and what it is that we're doing in person. Online education and training for sure, but we are also starting to venture out into the community and to our libraries in particular to do some in-person classes, which has been really terrific. We have a volunteer tech team, and this is a group of people who help us with webinars, with any of the technology that we've been using, and all of us have been using since the start of the pandemic. And so we have folks that are available to assist with some of those technology issues. We have social activities and outings for people with dementia and their care partners. And some of these examples would be, I think it was last week, they went out to the Helen Woodward Animal Care Center again to meet some of their animals out there, therapy animals, and some of the other, their animal ambassador programs. So there was a bunch of different animals that they were meeting out there. Well, we partner with local researchers in supporting them. And, here in San Diego, we have a lot of some of the most brilliant minds in Alzheimer's disease and other related dementias working on these issues right now in terms of looking to discover the causes, more information about the causes, more information about how do we work towards a cure, and some of them are working in, finding better treatments and disease-modifying treatments for Alzheimer's disease. We have a Respite Alz Companions program, volunteer-based, and So our ALS companions are spending time with the person with dementia, some of them virtually and some of them in person, so that it gives the care partner a bit of a break. And then we have a Vitals program, Volunteers in Touch, where we have volunteers contacting people living alone with dementia, memory loss of some kind in the community. So these are all the things that we do. And we want you to be in touch with us. Again, there's no cost to any of our programs and services. We are a local and independent nonprofit organization here in San Diego. We serve all of San Diego County, so regardless of where you're at, if you live here in San Diego County, we can help you. And I'll tell you, we have people call in from out of state as well too, and particularly people out of state who's maybe have a family member here in San Diego County. And those folks are welcome as well too. I've got some Zoom webinars things set up with a family where a sister in Arizona will be joining the Zoom call and receiving support that way with the rest of the family here in San Diego. So that's who we are and what we do. And that was some basic information about memory loss, how to talk about memory loss. We've got lots more information. So I think we're going to give a few minutes here for some questions. Is that right, Carrie?
Yes, and thank you so much, Jean. That was a lot of really great information, and I know I learned a lot. I always seem to. So I'm hopeful that the participants have also learned some tips and some different ways to navigate those conversations that are tricky and, as you said, prickly, which do make a lot of sense for us when we're trying to navigate that process with family members. And I did have a question that came in that I wanted to go back to. Let me just see. And you may have answered it a little bit, but in regards to when you were talking about the individuals being aware of their dementia or memory loss, the question came in about those three kind of categories: somebody who's not aware, somebody who is aware and anxious, somebody who is aware and controlling. And is it common, or can a person kind of vary between those three groups over time?
And that is a good question. And the fact is, yes, they can. And again, well, a couple of things is, I don't think any of us fits 100% neatly into any category at any time. So, it depends on kind of where they're at. Remember I said that capacity can fluctuate. And so a person might be having a sharper day and have greater capacity. In other words, have better memory and better cognition to be able to look at things and say, hey, why am I so low on my medications? I don't think I've been taking my medications properly. Or what are all these dings and dents on my car? Did I do those? Where did those come from? What's going on here? So a person might have that insight into I'm seeing some changes in myself and I'm a little concerned about it. And then a couple of days later, be in that anosognosia phase where everything's just fine. There's nothing going on here, no need to be concerned. So yeah, people can kind of fluctuate a little bit from one to the other. But what I will say is overall, those are just kind of three of the general categories. If I kind of hesitate to say that. I hate saying that people belong in categories. But just in a very general way, that is often what we see as a good at least half of people that are not aware of what is going on most of the time in terms of deficits, okay? And then this other bunch of people that are aware, and they're very anxious, and they stick really close to their care partner because they know their care partner is going to manage things and handle things and will keep them safe and secure and answer their questions. And then the controlling ones, the aware and the controlling ones, are the ones who are acknowledging, yeah, there's problems, but they're kind of the ones that are saying, I know there's problems, I'm working on it, I got this. So they're kind of keeping
That
us a
makes
little
sense.
bit arm's length away a little bit because they're determined to manage it on their own. So that's just, if that gives some clarity.
I think so. I think that helps to make sense of it. Thank you. And then there was another question that came in, and it's in regards to, so it's kind of a statement and then a question. So, and I know you're familiar with this too, Jean, but in San Diego County, we have the Dementia Friends Champion training program where people can get trained and then help to educate others in the community. So the question is, if you have a similar type of training or other programs that you provide that people can enroll in so they can learn more and then in turn educate the community. I think I got that question right. So I don't know if that's something that
Well,
also San Diego has.
any of our webinars or in-person classes, that you'll see listed on our website are open, to the public. It's community education. So you can either watch it at your convenience in the webinar library, or attend one like we're doing here today, or attend something in the community. And so while it's not like kind of a program title like the dementia dementia friends training, but it's certainly valuable information that you can, and we encourage you to share with the community as you are, just living your daily life out there, and to, spread the word about our organization and ElderHelp of San Diego as well too. I think we can all play an important role as educators and people who pass on knowledge and information to others. And I think that that's actually one of the best, I love hearing a question like that because that's how we continue working at changing myths and misunderstandings, reducing stigma, all those things that Dementia Friends training is all about. Making the community more knowledgeable and aware. So while it's not, again, kind of a certified or particular course, this is information that you can get from both our organizations, and that we do encourage you to share that knowledge and spread the word. It's very important. Grassroots is very important in this world of dementia.
Very true. Well, thank you. I think that helps to answer. There's not necessarily a train the trainer type program, but you can certainly continue to share the education and the information that you learn, which is always valuable to pass that along.
If I may, another, and I know
Sure.
you'll agree with this, Carrie, another great source of information to go to is Teepa Snow's website. So www.teepa, that's TEEPA, snow, SNOW.com. And, she does have trainings and things like that. Now you pay for them, but there's lots of videos that are available on YouTube with Teepa Snow, where she gives really great practical, useful information. So check that out as well too.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you. And then I don't see any other questions coming in yet, but you're still welcome to submit them. So let me know. In the meantime, I'll go through. We have a couple of upcoming things in the community I wanted to let you all know about. And again, thank you so much, Jean, for your time today and sharing your expertise. You have a wonderful way of presenting difficult information. So I appreciate all of that expertise being shared with us.
Happy to do so, Carrie. Always happy to partner with ElderHelp.
Wonderful. And we're working on our fall webinars through ElderHelp. So in September, we'll have one that is going to be geared around fall prevention. So fall prevention is important all year long, but in September, there's Fall Prevention Awareness Week. And so we'll be doing something related to that. So keep in mind, and we'll definitely keep you updated on that. And then the Caregiver Coalition is a group that is in San Diego that both Alzheimer's San Diego and ElderHelp participate in. We're members of that particular group, and it's made up of senior service providers. And really the idea is to support caregivers in our community. So they have a couple of upcoming events. One is a webinar that will be held next Friday. I believe the 26th is a Friday, and it will be on the topic of summer travel, families, caregiving, and COVID. So it will be a good one if you're interested in joining that. I will also share that in the follow-up email so that you have the login details. I believe it will be on Zoom. So more information about that. And then the Caregiver Coalition is also hosting a virtual caregiver conference that will have several different speakers and resources in attendance as well. So I will share information about that, but that is coming up on Wednesday, August 31st from 9:30 to noon, and it will be on Zoom. So I will share the flyer so that you can register if you would like to attend. I don't believe you have to register ahead of time, but it just helps us have a better sense of how many people might be in attendance. And I will be participating in that as well. So I hope to see you all there. And this just is ElderHelp's contact information. So if you have any general questions or are looking for resources, you heard a lot of great information, and we refer quite a bit to our partners at Alzheimer's San Diego for their expertise in a lot of different ways. But you're welcome to reach out to us if you have any questions, and we can point you in the right direction for your situation. And again, I will follow up with the recording link for this webinar. You can also access all of our previously recorded webinars on our website. I'll include that link to make it easier. And if you would like to be notified of all of the upcoming webinars that we have, just let me know, and you can just reply to my email, and I'll add you to the list happily so that you can receive those on a regular basis. So again, thank you so much for your time, Jean, and thank you all for joining today. I don't see any other questions, but just some comments of appreciation for the information that was shared. So thank you for your time.
Great. Take care, everyone. Thanks, Carrie.
All right. Have a great day, everyone.
We'll see you next time.
Yes.